The assaults that occur every day, every 2 minutes in America, are actually a product of something that is entirely fixable if we try. We're all connected by the culture that we engender for our nation. And frankly, the culture we've created so far sucks. So it's time for us to fix it. I mean, it's something that I've always thought about, but I never really had the words to describe or analyze. But now we call it rape culture. It's a continuum of threat and violence perceived by people, mostly women, that ranges from sexual remarks to touching to rape itself. Rape culture condones emotional and physical abuse against women and then presents it as the norm. Rape culture is when a girl takes a $30 Uber home when it's only a 15-minute walk, or pretending to be on the phone in CVS when she knows she's being followed, or knowing that it's safer to give a guy a fake number than turn him down. Rape culture is knowing that certain sentencing actually has more to do with how inconvenient jail seems to be for the perpetrator rather than justice for the survivor. Or when cases are determined based on how short her skirt was, or even if there is a conviction, refusing to believe our supposed heroes are flawed. Rape culture is knowing that by delivering this talk, I will most likely get harassed on the internet after it's posted. That ranges from insults to threats, and that's what's happened to almost every TED speaker on this subject to date. That is rape culture. It's engendered fear and assumed power, and all of the shows that I loved growing up actually have something in common. They taught me what rape culture is, but for a while they failed to teach me that it's possible to live in a world where it doesn't exist. All of schools on that list are not exempt from rape culture, and their policies didn't do enough to counteract its effects or support the very real and very human collateral damage it creates. So how do we fix it? We can make an earnest and radical effort towards consent culture, but fighting the patriarchy is a team sport. We have to fight on a political and legal level, but also a cultural and social level as well. Otherwise, nothing is going to actually change. Now, as a creator and a consumer, it's my job to figure out how to contribute to the solution rather than the problem. Somehow, while watching Gossip Girl, I had this epiphany. I realized that there is a way for my politics and my art to intersect. Now, whether we like it or not, art refuses to be anything but political because of the effect that it has on us. And I know the industry agrees, otherwise we wouldn't have so many episodes about abortion or police brutality or privacy or even sexual assault. If you want to change the culture, first you change their art. Now that's a tall order, so we have some steps that can help us get there. First, identify the ideal that you're striving towards. On both sides, creator and consumer, it's clearly defined consent. But what is consent? Let's see if television can help us out with this one.
If you had said no, I would have stopped.
Did I say yes?
Because sex is like boxing. If both people didn't fully agree to participate, one of them is committing a crime.
All of a sudden, things are getting heavy. She calls for a timeout. I've been there too. Now, you know that her mouth is saying no, but you're sure that there are parts of her saying yes, not to mention parts of you. What part do you listen to? Her mouth. And then you go outside, take a swim in an unheated pool.
Seem a little easier to grasp now. Consent is verbal, it's mutual, it's affirmative, it's proactive, it's sober, it's continuous, it's non-coercive, and a slew of other things. And that may sound like a lot, but none of it really sounds all that difficult. But even though I think this set of rules are great, a lot of people don't follow them, or worse, they don't even know that they exist. And that is where we run into trouble. In order to stop these crimes from happening, we have to teach people not to commit them. And a big component of that is accurately reflecting the reality of the crime in the media that we consume. It's important for these conversations to start early and happen often, or TV will do the work for you. Now, try as it might, television isn't necessarily the most effective educator. So we have to be able to break things down and figure out where is the disconnect? Where is the miscommunication happening? More often than not, that's a product of vague storytelling. Now, essentially, sexual encounters on screen can only go in two directions, consensual or non-consensual. The tipping point is the beat in the scene that sends it in one of those two directions. That's what we need to focus on. So let's try One Tree Hill, for example. We have an adulterer, Nathan, and the mistress, Brooke. But what's their excuse when they sleep together? They're drunk, of course. Brooke far more than Nathan, and therefore unable to consent to a sexual act. Let's rewind the tape.
You guys really broke up?
Yeah. You another drink?
No.
Whoa, never mind. You're good.
There. That's when the scene crosses into predatory non-consensual territory. Nathan's dialogue indicates that he would have rather kept her drinking until she was ready, rather than value the well-being of the partner. It's how clearly presented these tipping points in the scenes are that changes the perspective of the scene for the viewer. That's what we need to focus on clarifying on the screenwriter's perspective.